Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all here in this session at TNB Academy. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our eminent speaker, Mr. Apur Malik, today, who is going to talk to us about corporate social responsibility. In this webinar today, Mr. Malik will discuss this topic in detail along with he has experienced in the industry. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Apur Malik, has done his post graduation in computer applications from Gautam Budh Technical University, Lucknow. He is also a lead auditor in ISO 27001 standard. He has an industrial experience of around 8 plus years in various industries ranging from information technology and e-commerce. He has been imparting training to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs, and individuals on various topics related to ISO terminologies and their certification. It was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Apoor Malik. I may request Mr. Apoor Malik now to please start your session on corporate social responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rishabh, for the wonderful introduction. And it's a great pleasure to be here at Academy again. And I thank TNV Academy for giving me this opportunity. So, friends, as just shared by Mr. Rishabh, the topic of discussion today is corporate social responsibility. So, we will discuss this particular topic in this webinar today. And we will start by looking at the basic definition of corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility, or in the short form known as CSR, is a self-regulating business model that helps a company be socially accountable to itself, to its stakeholders, and the public. If we go into the broader description of this particular definition, then we can say that by practicing corporate social responsibility, which is also known as corporate citizenship, companies can be conscious of the kind of impact they are having on all aspects of society, including economical, social, and environmental. To engage in CSR activity, it means that in the ordinary course of business, a company is operating in ways that enhance society and the entire environment instead of contributing negatively to them. CSR helps both the society and the brand image of the companies, and also the CSR corporate responsibility programs are a great way to raise morale in the workplace. Corporate social responsibility is a broad concept that can take many forms depending on the company and industry. Through CSR programs, philanthropy, and volunteer efforts, businesses can benefit society while boosting their own brands. As important as CSR is for the community, it is equally valuable for a company as well. CSR activities can help forge a stronger bond between employees and corporations, can boost the morale of the employees, can aid both employees and employers in feeling more connected to the world around them. For a company to be socially responsible, it first needs to be accountable to itself, its shareholders, and to the outer public as well. Companies that adopt CSR programs have often grown their business to the point where they can give back to the society. Thus, we can say that CSR is typically a strategy that's implemented by large corporations. After all, the more visible and successful a corporation is, the more responsibility it has to set standards of ethical behavior for its peers, competition, and industry. So we move ahead now and we look at the importance of CSR. We will discuss that what are the benefits of CSR, corporate social responsibility, for an organization and for the society itself. So there are many reasons for a company to embrace the CSR practices, which I have stated over here. The first one is it improves customers' perception of the brand of the organization. Second one is it attracts and retains employees. And third one is it increases the appeal of the organization to its investors. So if we look at the first point, the first benefit, that it improves customers' perception of the brand. It means that it's increasingly important for companies to have a socially conscious image. Consumers, employees, stakeholders prioritize corporate social responsibility when choosing a brand or company, and they hold corporations accountable for effecting social change with their beliefs, practices, and profits. To stand out among the competition available in the market, the company needs to prove to the public that it is a force for good. Advocating and raising awareness for socially important is an excellent way for the business to stay top of mind and increase its brand value as well. The second benefit, which says that it attracts and retains employees, it means the consumers are not the only ones who are drawn to a business that give back. Sustainable strategy is a big factor in where today's top talent chooses to work. The next generation of employees is seeking out employers that are focused on the triple bottom line, which is people, planet, and revenue. Coming out of the recession, if we say, corporate revenue has been getting stronger. So companies are encouraged to put that increased profit into programs that give back to the society. Employees that share the company's values and can relate to its CSR initiatives are much more likely to stay. The third benefit says that it increases the appeal to the investors. By demonstrating a developed corporate social responsibility program and initiatives, the company is bound to become more appealing to both current and future investors as well. Just like customers, investors are holding businesses accountable when it comes to social responsibility. At the same time, a company that takes corporate social responsibility seriously signals to both investors and partners that it's interested in long term as well as short term gain. Corporate social responsibility goes hand in hand with environmental, social, and governance metrics that help external analysts quantify the company's social efforts and become a key factor for investors' consideration and continued interest. Now, what are the types of corporate social responsibility which are, available, or we see around ourselves, usually practiced by different kind of organizations? So in recognition of how important socially responsible efforts are to their customers, employees, and stakeholders, many companies focus on four types of CSR categories, which are environmental efforts, philanthropy, ethical labor practices, and volunteering. Let us discuss all these types of CSR in detail. The first one is environmental efforts. One primary focus of CSR is the environment. Businesses have large carbon footprints regardless of size. Any step a company can take to reduce its footprint is considered good for both the company and for the society. The second type of CSR can be philanthropy. Businesses can practice social responsibility by donating money, products, or services to social causes and non-profits. Larger companies tend to have plentiful resources that can benefit charities and local community programs. However, even as a small business, the efforts can make a difference. If you have a specific charity or program in mind, reach out to the organization. Ask them about their specific needs and whether a donation of money, time, or your company's products would best help them. The third type is ethical labor practices. Companies can demonstrate CSR by treating employees fairly and ethically. This is especially true of businesses that operate in international locations with strict labor laws, which differ from those in the United States of America. And the fourth type is volunteering. Participating in local causes or volunteering your time to community events says a lot about your company's sincerity. When your company does good deeds without expecting anything in return, you express concern for specific issues and social causes. So these were the four types of CSR which are often practiced by different kind of organizations. Now, what should we avoid when creating a socially responsible business model? What are the things that we should avoid while we are planning for CSR within an organization? So becoming a socially responsible business can be simple actually, but there are a few aspects which should be avoided, which I have listed over here. The first one says, don't choose unrelated initiatives. Second one is, don't use CSR as a marketing scheme. Third one is, don't wait for the industry to catch up. Let us understand all these things which has to be avoided by the organization. First thing is, don't choose unrelated initiatives, which means the companies should avoid participating in charitable efforts that are not related to their core business focus, or that violate the company's ethical standards in any way. Instead of blindly sending money to a completely unrelated organization, find a non-profit that your company believes in or invest in a project in your community. Second one is, don't use CSR as a marketing scheme. So it says that don't use CSR opportunities solely for marketing purposes of your organization. Once a person known as Gary Schmidt said that running a corporate social responsibility campaign as a quick marketing scheme can backfire if your business doesn't follow through. Instead of trying a one-time stunt, adopt socially responsible business practices over time. She said that employees and consumers react positively to companies that embrace long-term social responsibility. The third one is don't wait for the industry to catch up. So if you are considering sustainable activities that are not legally required yet, don't wait. By adopting socially responsible norms early on, you set the bar for your industry and refine your process. Undertaking CSR initiatives is a win for everyone involved within the CSR activity. The impact of your actions will not only appeal to socially conscious consumers and employees, but can also make a real difference in the world. So these were the three things which should be avoided when you are planning for corporate social responsibility business model. Now, what are types of CSR certifications? So you have, applied the corporate social responsibility model within your organization. You need to assess it as well. So you can do it both ways. You can assess it yourself as well. However, there are few certifications which are available in the market who assess your CSR efforts. So while many companies self-assess their CSR efforts, often the most practical and trusted way to prove the company's social accountability. So while many companies self-assess their CSR efforts, often the most practical and trusted way to prove the company's social accountability to the public is to undergo a third-party social impact assessment. These three corporate social responsibility certifications, which I have listed over here, can help you achieve public recognition for your sustainability and CSR efforts. These three types of certifications are B Corp certification, ISEAL code compliance, and SASB standards. Let us discuss in brief about these three kind of certifications. The first one is B Corp certification. Certified B corporations or B Corps are companies verified by B Lab to meet high standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. To become a B Corp, a company must undergo a rigorous and holistic verification process every 3 years, integrate B Corp commitments to all stakeholders into its governing documents, and pay a sales-based annual fee. The second one is ISEAL code compliance. ISEAL Alliance is a global membership organization for credible sustainability standards. An assessment from ISEAL is carried out by an independent third-party verification provider that determines whether a business meets codes of good practices or not and can be deemed ISEAL code compliant or not. This assessment offers a reputable seal of approval for companies that emphasize sustainability. In some circumstances, verification from ISEAL members can directly impact business continuity as well. The third one is SASB standards. SASB stands for Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, and it is one of the most established environmental, social, and governance guidance frameworks, providing standards for disclosing the financial impact of a company's sustainability efforts. In other words, it allows businesses to communicate the financial outcomes of their CSR and ESG measures to investors and other stakeholders. SASB standards are evidence-based, cost-effective, market-informed, and industry-specific, which covers approximately 77 industries. These standards help produce structured, comparable, and standardized data that is perfect for both internal and external communications of CSR and ESG impacts. Now we should move forward and look at few examples of CSR companies. We will look at the few companies who have implied corporate social responsibility within their organization, and we will see that what CSR activities they are performing. I have listed few famous companies over here. So these basically 6 companies are practicing corporate social responsibility on a large scale. The first one is Lego, the second one is Tom's, third one is Johnson & Johnson, fourth one is Starbucks, then Google and Pfizer. So we will discuss that what corporate social responsibility activities these 6 companies are performing. Lego. It is a toy company which has invested millions of dollars into addressing climate change and reducing waste. Lego's environmentally conscious efforts include reduced packaging, sustainable materials, and investments in alternative energy. So they are performing their duties against CSR in this way. The second organization is Tom's. So Tom's donates 1/3 of its net profits to charities that support physical and mental health as well as educational opportunities. During the pandemic, recent COVID-19 pandemic, the brand directed all charitable donations to the Tom's COVID-19 Global Giving Fund. The third organization is Johnson & Johnson. The brand Johnson & Johnson, we all know, is very famous across the globe, and it focuses on reducing its environmental impact by investing in alternative energy sources. Globally, Johnson & Johnson also works to provide clean, safe water to communities and people. The fourth one is Starbucks. The global coffee chain, as we all know, has implemented a socially responsible hiring process to diversify its workforce. Its efforts are focused on hiring more veterans, young people looking to start their careers, and refugees. Google, which is a very famous organization, has demonstrated commitment to the environment by investing in renewable energy sources and sustainable offices. Its CEO, Mr. Sundar Pichai, is also known to take stands on certain social issues as well. And last one is Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company focus on corporate citizenship is reflected in a way that its healthcare initiatives are very famous across the globe, which include spreading awareness about non-infectious diseases and providing accessible health services to women and children in need. So these were the 6 organizations who are, performing their CSR duties very well across the globe and are famous for performing their CSR activities. So I now conclude my session. Thank you so much, TNV Academy or Mr. Rishabh again for giving me this opportunity. I would now like to take questions from the participants if they have any.
Apurji, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How do we monitor CSR?
CSR monitoring there are few ways to actually measure your corporate social responsibility activities. The first one you can say is to break CSR goals into categories such as philanthropy, labor practices, and environmental efforts, which we recently discussed. And to track the success of these investments, an organization should look for measurable key performance indicators. They can be how much has the organization's company carbon footprint has changed, how many people the organization has reached with a charitable effort. So monitoring new developments and keeping a pulse on general public perception of issues associated with the company's social causes will help them to monitor their corporate social responsibility activity.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, who is CSR for?
CSR, we can say businesses of all sizes and domain can choose to introduce a comprehensive CSR program or selected initiatives as per their desire and reap the associated benefits. No matter the size or maturity of the business of an organization, an investment in ethical behavior and sustainable practices can improve, the brand value. It can build the customer trust. It can help them grow their company and improve the bottom line. So basically, you can say that every kind of business, whether it's a small scale business or it's a large scale business, it can apply the CSR program.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why should a company implement CSR?
Why should a company implement CSR? So as we just discussed in our webinar itself, that there are few benefits which we discussed, that why should an organization should go for CSR. So you can say that many companies view CSR as an integral part of their brand image, believing that customers will be more likely to do business with brands that they perceive to be more ethical. So in this sense, you can say CSR activities can be an important component of corporate public relations of an organization. At the same time, some company founders are also motivated to engage in CSR due to their own convictions. So these can be few benefits of CSR and also the benefits which we discussed during the webinar.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Mr. Kapoor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What are the example of CSR initiatives?
Some examples of CSR components can be, reducing the carbon footprint and energy consumption from the environment, engaging in wildlife conservation initiatives, encouraging charity and volunteer work, supporting local communities, improving labor practices or policies within the organization, ensuring diversity and equality in the workplace. Other one can be investing in non-profit organizations and guaranteeing ethically sourced materials. So whichever practices an organization employ, they should make sure that they are authentic and match their corporate values as well.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor.
Thank you so much. Do we have any more questions?
No more questions.
Fine, sir. So I would request Mr. Rishabh to conclude the session.
Thank you, Mr. Apoor Malik, for this wonderful webinar today. The way you have shared your knowledge and insights on today's topic was really interesting. I hope that all the participants has been benefited by your expertise and wisdom on the given topic today. I thank you for giving your valuable time and effort to make this webinar a successful one. I thank all the participants as well for being an integral part of this webinar. I hope to see you all again soon. I wish you all the best of luck on behalf of TNB Academy for your future endeavors. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rishabh. Thank you, TNV Academy, and all the participants for their wonderful questions. I hope I answered all the questions satisfactorily. I hope to see you all again soon. Best wishes from my side. Thank you so much.